So then in my 20s, things get a little bit more complicated. So when I finished working in Japan, I was there for 2 years. I still didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, but I did want to do international work. So I got a master's in international relations. And after that, I landed a job in New York City for a telecommunications company. And just shortly after working there, there was an opportunity to go to South Africa. Now, this was back in, I would say, like 96. So you guys have heard of apartheid, right? Yeah, so it doesn't exist anymore, but when I was in college, apartheid was like a big thing. And I was always organizing anti-apartheid rallies on campus. And then I was asked to go to live in South Africa, which to me just like, it was mind-blowing because just 2 years earlier, it was an apartheid state. It was in a state of civil war, and Mandela had just been elected president. So there was like love to travel, but that seems a bit much. And so I was really confronted with, you know, how much do I allow fear to drive my decision-making versus the regret of not having to do something. And I think as I became older, some of those decisions that, you know, I felt like I could be really carefree when I was younger started to weigh on my mind a little bit more. I did go ahead and accept the position in South Africa, really because of the philosophy that I can manage fear, and risk can also be managed to a certain extent. I'm never stuck with any decision. But once regret seeps in, like regret not doing something, there's no antidote for regret, I like to say. Regret just sits with you and gnaws at you, and you can never reverse time. So that was another philosophy that I tried to live by. So I did go to South Africa and really, really enjoyed the experience. It was fascinating to be in a country, to see how the country is actually healing itself in transitioning from a violent apartheid state to an integrated democracy. So another piece to the story, though, just a few months before I was sent to South Africa, I had actually started dating this guy in New York. And I didn't think too much of it, because I was like, we just started dating, he's really lovely, but whatever. And so I went to South Africa, but we stayed in touch, and we continued to email, and we became really, really close. And he was starting his career as an attorney in New York, and I was trying to convince him, this is ridiculous, like long distance from New York to South Africa, someone should move, and I think it should be you. And I could not convince him to come to South Africa, so he was asking me to come back to New York. So here I found myself again. Man, the fear of giving up a job that I loved. I always wanted to live and work overseas, and I'm doing exactly what I wanted to do, versus, you know, maybe throwing that all away and throwing caution to the wind and going back to be with some dude who I didn't really know that well. We had only spent a few months together, and most of our relationship had been like via email. But, you know, it was risk versus regret. Would I regret not going back, or would it be a huge mistake if I went back and gave up a career that I loved? How many of you would choose career in that scenario? How many of you would choose love? Oh, you all left me hanging. You guys are really heartless. Went back. This is my husband. We've been married for 20 years, and now we have 3 kids that are pretty much your age. The choice was this. I could always find another job. I wasn't sure if I could find another guy like this. And I would have always regretted, what if I didn't do it? What if I didn't do it?